Hey, Peter and Julie here. It's Tuesday Night Live. We are so excited that you guys are here. We got some great stuff for you. Gosh, Julie, last week at this time, weren't we in Florida or were we back already?
I think that was 2 weeks ago. Last week we had Ed on,
Yeah,
but
yes,
it
that's
still
right.
feels like I still have a Florida spirit in my mind today. I was just talking to one of our partners who lives in Miami, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's like 85 today." And we had such a warm spout here, and then it got kind of nasty today. But one thing I'm super excited about is I know people hate time changes, but I love, love, love it staying out lighter ever in the evenings because it gives me a chance to go work in the garden and you know you don't feel so tired in the evenings. I don't know about you guys, but being able to have that later daylight hours really, really helps. But hey, as you're popping on, by the way, guys, please, please, please let us know where you are. So we've got Brad Woods from Marietta, Shane from Cumming, Georgia. And speaking about Brad, I will like to say that I had a great conversation with Brad this week. Man, what a hustler. He has got so much going on in his life right now, and he's working on two deals. And he is not the type of person that's going to let excuses get in his way, and he's going to go work and get those deals done. I think at least one of them. So Brad, congratulations on that. Erica from Cumming, Georgia. Meeker from Colorado. Oh no, Ryan from Meeker, Colorado. Sandra from Arkansas.
Sorry.
So no, just put it in the chat, guys, as you're popping on where you're located. We love to hear where all of you guys are from, kind of what you're doing. And thank you for choosing to be here tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a matter of fact, speaking of partners, Julie, aren't we going to have a bunch of them here? We are going to have a bunch of them here with us this Saturday. We did a little promo, little contest with our partners, and the contest was very simple. Like, why are you? What's the reason behind your success? I mean, like, we all want to be successful for our own sake. I mean, that goes without saying. But like, we did a contest of write a story or tell us why, who else you want to be successful for. And amazing, amazing stories. I don't know if there was really winners or losers. I think we randomly ended up kind of choosing, but we picked.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
not going to lie. I had to randomly choose because I was in tears reading these stories and I just couldn't pick who was better than the other one. So,
Yeah, it was amazing stuff. And so 15 of our partners are coming in this Saturday. We got two party buses, I think is what they're called. And we got some really amazing guides here in Atlanta, Georgia. And for the first several hours, first part of the day, we're just gonna ride around with these guides. They're gonna show us all the hot spots in Atlanta, like the cool spots, the cool places to see and visit. And so we're gonna just do that. We're gonna have some food, some drinks on these buses, and then we're gonna board up and we're gonna head on these same buses up to my lake house, and we're gonna have dinner there. We're gonna hang out.
and I talked my husband into grilling out for us all.
So funny you mentioned that because I was going to ask, is Brian cooking? So Brian is an amazing cook, by the way. So we're all going to eat, hang out, have a little party there. We're going to have a lot of fun, and then we're going to call it a night. So that's kind of how we love to do it. And I hope the weather's better than it is today. I mean, it'll be fun no matter
It's
what.
it's
But man,
partly cloudy with a high of 59. I think we'll be just fine.
I knew you'd be prepared all the way to the point of actually checking in on the weather. So
Yeah,
cool, cool, cool.
absolutely. Because there's really nothing better than sitting on your back porch overlooking the lake,
Yeah.
which for me, I don't know about you guys on this call, but like sitting on a porch is like one of my favorite things, right? Looking out wherever. If you sit on mine, you're going to see, a creek and some woods. At Peter's house, it's more of a lake venue. So it's beautiful. But let's see who else we've got. We've got Robert from Denver, Colorado, Beverly from, I don't know, RO Oak Lawn, Illinois. Never heard of that place. Juanita from Paris, Texas. Oh, I had the pleasure of meeting Juanita when I was in Dallas the last time. By the way, Juanita, and I don't want to say this on this call, but your Facebook has been hacked. If you have not checked that out, change your password. I got some crazy stuff from you, girl. Um, let's see who else we got. We got Pamela from Germantown, Maryland. So awesome. 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 Thank you guys for joining in tonight. We're going to be talking about one of the most important things that there is when it comes to real estate investing and actually doing deals. And we'll get into that in just a little bit here. As we're going, this is more of an educational night than bringing on one of our partners. But if you don't do what we're talking about tonight, you're literally going to lose 70, I don't know, 80% of your business. And so you're going to hear some real nuggets tonight. And that's why we are so glad you're all here. Like Brian McKenzie from Florida. So glad you're here, Brian.
Yeah, guys. And by the way, please, if you're, well, I guess it doesn't matter whether you're a partner or not a partner, make sure you stay all the way till the end. Because as you know, one of the things that we pride ourselves on with the partner-driven model is utilizing our money to do deals with. Our partners never have to come to the table with any money for rehabs, for fix and flips, for any kind of deals. We fund all of them. Well, if you wait all the way to the end, and if you haven't quite heard, we now know, and we now have an option for our partners not only to use our money to do deals, but to use other people's monies to get started with us. Crazy, like literally a seamless experience from A to Z. So, but you have to wait till the end when Julie and I are done to be able to hear that. So, all right, well, let's get going. Let's get rolling. Guys, welcome aboard. My name is Peter Vexelman. On the other side is Julie Muse. And Julie and I have been doing this for a long time. And when I say this, I mean real estate investing. Personally, I have been investing for, gosh, it's crazy. I say it like all the time. Yeah, but I think it's more than that. I think I just kind of locked myself in at 22. Might have been more than that, but well over 2 decades I've been investing. I've been through, gosh, you could say I've been pretty much through everything. I've been through good markets. I've been through bad markets. I've been through good partnerships. I've been through bad partnerships. I've been through when things were going up. I've been things when they were down. I've made a lot, but trust me, along the way, I've also lost a lot. And Julie and I have been together, about 10 years now?
Yeah, going on about 10 years.
About 10 years ago, I met Julie, and then she and I just started totally hitting it out of the ballpark. Put together just well over 1,000 deals just while she and I were doing it. And we did it at a very high level. I mean, we invested not only here in Georgia, but we set up office, like our first remote office, I think, was in Jacksonville. And then within a couple of years, would expanded all the way to the West Coast. Things were great. We had a whole call center here. And when I say call center, I don't mean just like everyday old people. Well, that's not a good way to say it. Not every, but just some unprofessional people answering calls. We had full-time professional negotiators negotiating deals on our behalf. So we were hitting it, and things were going great. And then we're like, well, how do we go hitting it? But now we want to hit it out of the ballpark. Okay. And so we came up with this idea, which is now known to everybody as the partner-driven model. And the idea was very simple. And what we do now, I guess, is pretty simple. But bottom line is we no longer chase deals ourselves. We no longer have 14 negotiators working on our behalf. We don't have any of that. But what we do have is tons and tons of partners across the United States. These are everyday people. And what we do with them is we literally enable them to close real estate deals by providing what are really considered the pillars of success when it comes to real estate investing. We coach and mentor them. We provide our back office to them for their utilization. We help them with lead generation. Deal Engine HQ is our latest and greatest motivated seller lead generation. So we help them with that. We provide all the capital to do deals. We will help them with construction if any is needed. And then we just put the properties in the market and sell them, split the profits down the middle, 50-50. And I could tell you a couple of years ago when we started this model, if you know what, I just cannot imagine back then where we would be in a kind of a fairly short period of time. And really, it's beyond just the deals. It's the relationships. It's the friendships. It's like what Julie and I were talking about 5 minutes ago. It's having them over at my house. There's 15 or 20 of them at my house this weekend for us really to hang out with. They're not coming in just to learn about real estate, although they will learn more about real estate. They're not coming in just to sit through a bunch of teachings, although there will be teaching. They are literally, excuse me, they are literally coming in. Sorry. They're literally coming in to hang out with Julie and I for a day or two. And that's really what we do with our partners now. We do deals, we have fun, we travel. Just a couple of weeks ago, Julie and I got back from Florida, and we had one of our amazing partners join us on that leg of a trip. So that's what the partner-driven way is all about. And Julie and I are constantly on the hunt to find more partners. And as a matter of fact, I will tell you, this is why we do these Tuesday night webinars. We do them for two reasons. One, some of you guys on here tonight are our existing partners, and we're glad you guys are here. It's a good time for us to reconnect. We're going to teach you some really good stuff today. And so if you're a partner, you're here because this is another kind of connection point that you have towards us on a daily and a weekly basis. So if you're a partner here tonight, reset, recharge, recommit, and let's go today, get to the next level. Mm-hmm. Some of you all are not partners here tonight. Some of you guys are here tonight, you've probably been talking to somebody for a while, a team member, and you're kind of at the point where hopefully you're ready to pull the trigger. Or especially if those of you that are fall in that category tonight, wait till the end, because I'm going to show you not only how you could use our money to do deals, I want to show you tonight how we could use third-party source to get in the program too. So that's pretty amazing. But having said that, if you are today ready to make the decision and you already got everything worked out and you're like, hey, I'm a go, then we have a couple key members on standby, and all you have to do is just call them at 770-746-8585. That's 770-746-8585. Again, if you're at that point where you're ready to rock and roll, give that number a call, and you'll talk to a team member, and literally as early as tomorrow morning, we could be well on our way to start putting deals together. And Julie mentioned this a little bit ago. When we do these Tuesday night meetings, we do them from different angles, different perspectives. Like she reminded me last week, we had Ed Lindsay on, right? With Ed, it was just a partner that put it all on the line to become successful. We just closed right the week before then. We had just closed a $35,000 deal, and it was very exciting. Sometimes Julie and I just kind of reminisce about things we've been through and share stories. So we've taken this into many different angles. Well, tonight we're going to teach. Tonight we're going to teach you something that is it's not even a technique. It's not even a strategy. It's a must-have. Okay. There are some not so must-haves in this business, and there are absolutely must-haves in this business. Okay. And so what we're going to teach you tonight is a must-have in this business. It's a must-have if you want to make more money. It's a must-have if you want to make money quicker. It's a must-have if you want to be in this thing from a long-term perspective as opposed to a short-term perspective. So pretty much anything to do with success in real estate, what we're going to share tonight and what we're going to talk about tonight is an absolute must-have. And the reason I love talking about the art of the follow-up, well, there's a couple reasons I love to talk about the art of the follow-up. But the art of the follow-up also allows you to make some mistakes on the front end. Like, here's what I mean by that. A lot of times people think it's all about how well I negotiate. It's all about how well I can negotiate. And let's face it, not everyone's a great negotiator, right? So sometimes people are like, you know what? I'm not going to be successful in real estate, or I'm not going to do real estate, or because I'm not a great negotiator, right? Well, not only is a follow-up a critical aspect of real estate if you want to get more out of real estate, the follow-up, as you will see here in a couple minutes, allows you to actually be bad at certain things. Mm-hmm. And all you got to do is just make sure you're following up. And the great thing about following up, it potentially is one of the easiest things to do. Negotiations is a process. Like I've actually spent sometimes an hour or two teaching people how to negotiate. Because it is, you got to know psychology a little bit. You got to know the steps. You got to know when to talk, when to not. I mean, there's a lot of things to know when you have to negotiate, right? But when you're following up, sometimes it's as complicated as this. Hey, Bob, it's Pete. You and I've been talking about your property. Anything change? I mean, literally, if you could just at least do that, I mean, you could take it a little bit, couple levels above that. But if you could at least do that, you could follow up. Follow up is an absolutely critical part of real estate. I can tell you, anyone that's been in the business for any length of time will tell you that very few times do you just call somebody or contact someone and they're like, yeah, I'm glad you called. I'm about ready to get my property away to somebody. And I'm just trying to figure out, who am I going to give it away to? So thanks for calling. I'm going to give it away to you. Like, you know what? 22 years in the business, I don't think that's literally ever happened to me. I don't think it's ever happened to Julie. And we've probably dialed thousands and thousands of owners. So follow-up is something that if you're gonna do this business over an extended period of time, you're gonna see that you will actually close more deals, like significantly a lot more deals as a result of following up than on the front end contact. Here's the other thing. Sometimes people say, well, Pete, it's only about, it's just, I got to get that first deal done. I got to get the first deal done. I get it. That first deal is big. Confidence builder, put some money in your pocket, give you hope and all this, right? Here's another reason why follow-up is so important. Let's say you're all about just chasing that front end. I just got to find somebody that wants to give it away, give it away. I don't care about following up, because if they don't give it away right away, I'm not interested. That means every deal is a mountain. It means every deal you start from the beginning, right? But think about it. You're chasing your first deal. You're working days, weeks, probably a number of months to pop that first one. But at the same time, you're building the follow-up system. You're building the follow-up coffers. You're constantly, every 30, 60 days, hey, Bob, it's Pete. Just checking in, see if there's any, Then what happens when you finally close your first deal sometime into this business? You're not looking like, oh my gosh, here I am at zero. No, you're looking inside your follow-up files and you're like, oh yeah, Bob, he and I have been talking, and he's been telling me he's going to retire in May. And when he retires, he's ready to get rid of that place. And guess what? It's all right around the May. And I'm going to go over a number of other very important factors that take place. But I will tell you, the follow-up is what, in my opinion, has made me who I am today. Julie?
Peter, I want to kind of break it down from the very beginning of a call. And I want everybody to understand why follow-up is so important. Okay. So there are two types of marketing in this world. I mean, there's probably tons of other ones, but I'm going to break it down very simply. There's a react now, which is an example of like maybe a billboard. And you're like, I want that right now. I'm going to call the number on the billboard, right? I want something right now. Sometimes the thing with real estate investing or talking to sellers is that they're not ready right now. And believe it or not, sometimes because you reached out to them through, whether it's cold call, direct mail, text messaging, internet leads, you literally could be the catalyst. Hear me. You could be the catalyst that made them even ever think about selling. You hear me there? So what I mean by that is, without follow-up, without following back up with your sellers, you're not going to reach these people. If I cold call somebody today and they have no clue that there's an investor out there that'll pay them, cash offer for their property, they need to mill over it for a minute. That first call may not get me to where I need to be, because in their mind, they haven't even got to where they want to be yet. Guys, I'm going to use this term with you. your fortune in this business, that may not be the first, the second, the third deal. The fortune in this business for you is always gonna be in the follow-up. Fortune is absolutely in the follow-up. You can make pennies calling somebody once, doing a deal here and a deal here, but your true business is going to come from the follow-up. I can literally look, and you're only as good as your marketing database as well. I can literally go into somebody's business right now and take a look at their CRM and tell you how successful they are. What's a CRM? It's a customer retention management program, something like we have utilizing, Deal Engine. But whether you're using a computer program or whether it's files stacked this high, right? If you don't have potential sellers that you're following up with every day, you're not really building a business. You're building a business when you constantly have follow-up files, whether you're doing that through computer programs or doing it the old-fashioned way. Like I can literally remember back 10 years ago when Peter and I first got started, right? And he had this gentleman, and I hope I'm not taking your story. He literally had this gentleman working for him, and at the time, he was a property locator. And this dude, Peter, you remember him? Like he would literally come in with like files like this.
Timmy, yes.
He didn't even need a computer program, y'all. You could tell by this guy walking in that he had this understood, because he knew that fortune was in the follow-up. Peter, tell everybody, why do you think Timmy, being a property locator, which by the way, he could have went out and been his own wholesaler all day long, all day long. But he did this for Peter because Peter helped get him to the next level to close more deals. And this man, by the way, there's no telling how much he made. Why was Timmy so cool, Peter?
In terms of the follow-up or just overall?
Well, overall, I think to me, I thought he was as cool as he was because of his follow-up. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was just kidding, because Timmy was also very funny, and I could tell you stories about Timmy for an hour. But I still remember when we got started. Well, when I got started, and then when Timmy got started with me, we talked about the art of the follow-up. Okay, the funny part about it is that if you think about it, like now, right, Julie, like how do you follow up right now in terms of how do you keep it all together? It's computer based, spreadsheets. Timmy, I don't even knew how to use an email. So literally, Tim, what he would do is he would take a manila file for every single follow-up he had. So I still remember he would show up at the office. I know you can't see me, but he would show up and he would carry like all of it, like stat, and people would laugh at him until they got to know him. They would laugh. They would think this guy uneducated, unsophisticated, doesn't keep up with the times, blah, blah. And Tim and I stood together about 8 years. 8 years he did this for me. And for 8 years straight, he made well over $100,000, because he knew that if the file ups would be big enough, if the stack would be big enough, it didn't matter if he was sophisticated or unsophisticated, electronically advanced or not electronically advanced, versed on email or not versed on email. He knew one thing: numbers would just work in his favor. Because guys, I could sit here and I could literally, and Julie's seen me do this, I could go for the next hour to 2 hours teaching negotiations. But the one piece that I could never teach you when it comes to negotiations is actually the most powerful tool of negotiations. And this is a tool that can only be done on a follow-up. And you don't even have to know how to do it. Think about the most powerful tool in negotiations, and you don't even have to know how to do it because it works itself. And here's the tool: time. What happens during the follow-up process? Time takes over.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, why do we as investors do deals? If you think about it, right? Why do we do deals? Because we find motivated sellers. Well, what makes a motivated seller? It's an event usually. Like seriously, nobody who's got all the money and time in the world usually gives away properties, right? I mean, if I got all the time in the world and I got all the money in the world and I just got zero motivation, why in the heck am I selling my $500,000 home for $100,000? I guess that's like borderline craziness. Who does sell a $500,000 home at a very good discounted price is someone who's motivated by some kind of a life event usually, right? And if you think about it, this is why time's so important. As long as you build a relationship with someone, as long as you hang on and stay in touch with someone, unfortunately, almost everyone starts going through some kind of hardship, right? And if you're not literally everyone, but a lot of people do. And so what happens is if you have a stack of follow-up leads of 100, 200, 300 people in there, it's just a matter of time before somebody gets that call.
Mm-hmm.
I'm divorcing you. You got cancer. You're getting fired. You got to move. Your kid's in trouble, so you better divvy up some cash. And it's those live events that create motivation. This is where we step in and help people solve problems. We literally, if you look at it, what do? We help people solve problems. At the time when someone is divorcing, at the time that somebody needs to liquidate because they have a bad disease or sickness, at the time that a kid gets arrested and somebody's got to come up with $30,000 for legal fees, sometimes people think, well, why don't they just sell their property? It's not that easy. If I have money problems and I got a house that they can't finance because of its condition, or the realtor tells me I can't sell this, who's gonna buy this at the price you want it for? A lot of times when we step in and help these people, they have no other options, financially and time-wise, because we could move almost always quicker than a regular retail buyer. And so what happens when you develop large follow-up files or piles or leads, whatever you want to call them, however you want to stack them, it's just a matter of time before people start going through these situations. Now, guys, guess what? Everybody knows this. It's been a year. We're in one of those motivating situations right now during the pandemic, right? There's been a lot of people that 12 months ago did not even think about selling. But what they've experienced over the last 12 months, maybe a job loss, how many businesses went out of business? You know, how many, like who 12 months ago, like I know some people were, but like most people 12 months ago had no intention of shutting their businesses down. But guess what? They had to, because maybe they couldn't reopen again. Maybe they lost their clientele base. So we are literally in what is, in my lifetime, has been the largest motivating factor that we've ever seen. By the way, this is another reason why we here with our partners have more deal action going on than we have ever. I guess there's a couple of reasons for that: the motivation, the community, the excitement, but also we're living through a pandemic. I mean, I know we're in the latter stages of it now, but still, the repercussions as far as real estate, I'm telling you, I think have only begun. Wait till they lift the moratorium. I don't even know, Julie, have they lifted the moratoriums?
No, they haven't. But you know what, Peter, I do want to address the fact that everybody hears moratorium, moratorium, moratorium. Guys, that only affects government-backed loans. Okay, so what does that mean? not all mortgages on property came from government-backed loans. So there's this big pool of people right now that aren't in a moratorium, and a lot of them where it's going to end summertime. And they've not made payments for months and months and months. And it's not going to be great, because who's got $15,000-$20,000 to catch their mortgage payments up? It's going to bite you in the rear, and that's why, like even in our partner program, or even like tonight, we talk about working pre-foreclosures, which is a whole other subject. But this is absolutely a relationship business. Hear me. If you don't like building relationships with people, this may not be the right business for you. I hate to tell you that. It's absolutely a relationship business. And you've also got to remember that what you're talking to these people about sometimes is the biggest investment they have by far. Like the thing that is valued the most in their life, financially, could be their property. So for me, whether it's the moratorium or whether it's somebody that's in pre-foreclosure, driving for dollars leave, no matter what, I've made the most money, not off my first call, not at the appointment. Okay? Not at the appointment of the first time I met the person. Guys, could you guess when the most money I've made on deals is people that are in my follow-up. I actually genuinely like to follow up with people, because generally I've learned some things about them over the years or over the time frame, and I'm checking up with them. But don't just look at this as a follow-up, like, let me get to the next one, let me get to the next one, let me get to the next one. Everybody nowadays, they want to move through things so fast. There is something to be said about quality in your follow-up. If you want to work with me, if you're selling something to me, I'm going to need that quality, and I'm going to need that follow-up. And by the way, let me tell you a lesson, that it doesn't matter what business you're in. Hear me out. If you tell somebody you are going to call them in 2 months, you better call them in 2 months. If you tell somebody you're going to call them next week, you better call them next week. The number one reason I don't buy from somebody, or I don't sell to somebody, is because they don't do what they said they were going to do. So when you're following up, be very purposeful in your intentions, right? Always remember that relationship building part. Some sellers that I've worked with over the years are memories that are ingrained in my mind, because I learned things from them. I truly cared about their situation. And I know people just like you on this call tonight feel the exact same way. But if you always try for one and done, yeah, you'll get some deals, but you'll never be super successful. Because only people that understand that fortune is in the follow-up, you are going to be the only ones that's going to have a thriving business. Because you every week, every month that goes by, you've got to be able to stack these leads, even your contracts. So let's say I'm working a bunch of contracts that are in probate, Peter. And I've already got them under contract, but I know it's going to take 6 months to close them. Do you think it's important for me to check it up with them every couple of weeks?
Of course.
Absolutely it is. So it's more than just about the initial deal. Is anybody on this call got into this business, or is wanting to get into this business for 6 months? Tell me in the chat right now. Do you want to be in this business for 6 months? Or do you want to be in this business for the rest of your, your working career? Tell me. I mean, I really want to hear. Maybe I'm wrong. Fred Turner, I know him. I know he doesn't. Shannon, she says 15 years. Pamela says rest of her life. Brian says his career. Businesses and careers are built through relationships. No matter how good you are, you're not going to build a super good relationship from one conversation, are you? No, you're not. You're not. You are going to grow a business that is successful and it's thriving when you understand the art of follow-up. Because there's one thing that we haven't mentioned that's going to happen for you. When you are purposeful in your follow-up, when you're purposeful in your business and you're purposeful with helping others, this thing is going to come to you, and it's called referrals. Right? Referrals to me are the best thing because I didn't pay for money in marketing. But had I not have laid the groundwork down with my follow-ups, I would have never have got that referral. Every seller to me is either a deal or a referral. A deal or a referral. You guys getting this? You're not going to get either one until you understand the art of following up. Somebody that you can never sell to, but they just like you and you're so great at following up, they'll refer you to other people when you ask for it. You got to be willing to ask for it. So, I mean, I literally just want to be like, follow up. That's when you're going to make the money that you're looking for, guys. And be purposeful with it. Follow up when you say you're going to. And, like one thing I used to do, and honestly, I'm going to get back to doing it. I saw it in a movie the other day, is every time I went to an appointment, do you know what I used to do? I would write a handwritten thank you card to every appointment I went to. People don't throw that away. That takes time. That takes energy. That's being purposeful in your follow-up. And now that I said it out loud, I'm going to get back to doing that because it really helps me a lot with my referrals. Peter, what are some other good ways that you can follow up with these, potential sellers? Or, I even think that goes with realtors, with loan officers, with other people than just besides sellers. Learning how to follow up with those folks.
You just hit the nail on the head, Julie. Number one, yes, you do want to follow up with everybody, including potential sellers, for a couple of reasons, aside from what we've talked about. And I'm going to talk about what you said specifically in a minute. But if you think about it, when we're contacting a seller, or maybe even the seller's contacting us, they're looking to sell their property. It's one thing to have a garage sale and sell stuff that you probably don't even have any attachment to. And what are you selling stuff for? $50, $100, $5,
50 cents.
50 cents.
Yeah.
We're talking about someone's property, someone's house. This is probably the largest asset they own or have ever owned. Think about it. Anytime you do something that is the biggest you've ever done, it's got an impact. The longest run you've ever had, if you're a runner, I bet you remember it. Mm-hmm. The toughest test you've ever taken in your life, I bet you remember it. So the point is this. Most of the time, none of us have these common everyday names that people are just familiar with. But when you're dealing with someone's biggest of anything, their biggest asset, you got to kind of build a relationship. To us as investors, we do this every day. We put contracts out, we tie people's properties up, we buy, we sell. To us, it's really Like, we're to someone like Julie and I, it's really not that big of a deal anymore. But you better believe it, it's a big deal to them. It's scary. It's lonely because it's not like they're doing this and inviting a bunch of friends to their house. It's something that literally maybe they've never done before. They might have bought it, but they never gone through a sales process. Most people in the US, they don't have like local attorneys that they can call for advice on. I'm a business owner for my whole life since I got out of college. Yeah, I have attorneys. If something comes up, I just call them up and like, well, how does this sound? Like if you ask 100 everyday people across the United States, in regular neighborhoods, who's your attorney? They're like, what? So they really don't have anyone to bounce this off of. And so the reason you want to follow up with a realtor, the mortgage guy, with anyone in your life, but most importantly with that seller, is people need to trust you to do business with you. And part of that trust takes time. There's just no way around it. Very few times you're going to just walk into someone's life and they're going to say, wow, that's just the most unbelievable person in the world. I mean, yeah, I'm sure some people have felt that about some people. But even if they feel that about you, I guarantee you they don't have like a total 100% trust in you. And that takes time. And so the reason follow-up is so mandatory is sometimes that person is more willing to sell and they're actually closer to selling than you realize. They just aren't sure about you for a second. They're just not sure that you actually are who you say you are, that you actually will do what you say will do, that you'll actually follow the rules of the contract. And by the way, this is the other thing. Sometimes they don't even know that's the problem. Sometimes, you go to this, you talk to a person on the phone, you're like, oh my God, I cannot wait to get there. This person is this, this is going to be deal and a half. And then I'll talk to the person afterwards. I'm like, did you get it? They're like, no, I didn't get it. Part of sometimes the reason you don't get it is because the person you're talking to just isn't quite at the level of trusting you. And so this is where the follow-up comes in, because the follow-up gives you the chance to build you up, gives you the chance to build that trust up, gives you the chance, like Julie said, to set yourself apart by, hey, thanks, man, I appreciate it. When was the last time you got a thank you card from like anybody? Maybe a text, hey, good to see you today, but like an actual thank you card?
And it costs what, like $1 from the Dollar Tree?
Yeah.
And some time and a stamp?
Oh, unbelievable. And so those are the things that the follow-up allow you to do, that I don't care what kind of a negotiator you are. You just ain't going to do it in the first time. I could negotiate pretty well, but doesn't mean I could build that rapport and trust day one. That takes time. And time is another word that we use in conjunction with follow-up. See, think about this. Let's take real estate totally out of it. I know we're really real estate focused today, but if you think about this, think about some like negotiations that are public. I mean, negotiations take place privately all the time, right? Mm-hmm. But think about like any public negotiation, like probably the most public negotiations are like athletic negotiations, right? You hear it like, you hear like, whatever, LeBron James is at the end of his contract and he's in negotiations and they take place. How many times do you ever heard of like, today, LeBron James decided that he wants to do this and tomorrow the contract's been No, all negotiations take time. It's a process. Some of them take months. Talk to any, like, I don't know if anybody has access to any kind of developers or maybe just bigger investors than just single family people. You think they just show up at the seller's house one day and they negotiate a 100-acre tract of land and like that? No. Those deals take months to develop. Months. And so if an agent of a professional athlete was all about one and done or I'm done. If I can't get it done on the first visit, I ain't never going to follow up with that team. How many clients would that agent have? Or if the acquisition guy for Pulte Homes was like a one and done, I'll approach the seller one time about buying their 200 acre tract of land. If I can't get them, how long do you think they would work at a major builder? Or if the guy that sells computer systems to hospitals, which, sometimes sales cycles take, 9-10 months. What if that salesman took the attitude that some of us as investors take, unfortunately? I just need one motivated seller, and when I find him, it better be like the perfect, that sale's still at the door. So the bottom line is this: it's a process. Negotiations is a process, and if you leave part of any process out, like, sometimes people do surgeries, but they refuse to do rehabs. Some doctors will tell you don't even do the surgery. If all you're going to do is jump right back into the wheelchair, and you won't walk on the feet that you could now walk on, you won't exercise on the feet you can exercise on, you won't do physical therapy on something we just fixed, you're just going to sit there, may not need to do it. Negotiations is a process of a sales cycle. Follow-up is a process of a sales cycle. It really is. And if you leave this process out, I'm not going to go as deep as say, like, don't even worry about just calling sellers every day if you're not going to be willing to follow up. But I'll go pretty close to that. A lot of times people will want me to evaluate their businesses. And so usually the way I evaluate someone's business is I just kind of ask them for some key indicators, some key numbers. I'm always asking, how many people are in your follow-up? And if the guy looks at me and is like, what? In my follow-up? No, man, I'm just going for the low-hanging fruit. I'm just like, well, there you go. Like, signed, sealed, and delivered. I got the answer. I don't need to know anything else. I mean, I could literally tell the size of someone's business, and definitely the size of somebody's upcoming business, by simply discussing their follow-up. If their follow-up is this, 0, I'm not thinking amazing things here. If their follow-up is Timmy, this, I'm like, we're going to hit it out of the ballpark. You may not be hitting it out of the ballpark yet, but we're going to be hitting it out of the ballpark. So, as Julie said when we got started, the money, the fortune, is in the follow-up. Any way you slice it. You cannot out-negotiate the importance of the follow-up. Meaning you cannot be such a great negotiator that the follow-up is not important. It's impossible. Because remember, the biggest tool of negotiations doesn't even happen at the front-end approach. It happens through the follow-up because you got time on your side. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes people say, well, how often do I follow up? It depends a lot of times. It depends. If I was talking to somebody and they said and sometimes they'll give me a date, like I am retiring April 31st. And the day I retire is the day I want to start focusing on this. Okay, he just told me when I need to follow up with that guy.
I'm going to call him March 1st, Peter.
Yeah, well, you better believe it. You're going to do it all the way through the process. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if somebody says, just kind of check in with me, and then I'll just do a casual check-in, maybe 45 days, every 45 days, 30 days, depending how many things I'm following up with. So if somebody creates urgency, like Julie said, I'm going to be triple urgent. Like somebody gives me a date certain, he's not going to be friends by that day. Mm-hmm. Because what I don't want is somebody accidentally stepping in between now and then into that man's world and building that relationship.
And you know what, Peter? I've saw that more often than not. I can't tell you, and this is just with working with people over the years, is over the years is the hundreds of people I've worked with, is they're like, I called the seller and they sold to somebody else for the same price that I gave them the first time. Does anybody know why that is? Why does a seller choose to sell to somebody else for the same price? Because let me tell you, money is not the motivating factor 80% of the time. It's because you weren't purposeful with your follow-up. And you were the catalyst that may have talked them into selling their home. You did all the hard work, and then somebody else swooped in and got the deal. And I literally mean that. It's happened to me. I can't even tell you how many times. They swooped in and got the deal. When that happens to you, that's a very, very, very good indicator that you didn't handle the follow-up correctly, right? You weren't there when they needed you to be there. The fact that you think, or that I think, that a seller is going to save my phone number, that they're going to save my postcard, that they're going to save my email. Come on. Do y'all save anything anymore? I don't. I don't have the time for that. But if I call to check up, I call to check up, I call to check up, guess what? That just gives me one more chance, one more chance, one more chance. Best case scenario, I get a deal. Better case scenario is I could talk them into referring me to somebody else. That's the better case scenario. Is either one of those wrong? No, it's not. But guys, tonight, if you learn anything from us or anything, Peter, that I've said, be purposeful in your follow-up and understand you're building a relationship business. And the moment that you truly understand that is the day that you'll have deals lined up after deals. Yeah, there may be some dry spells here and there, right? But you're not building this business to be in it for 6 months or a year. I saw what you guys said. You're doing it for a lifetime. You're doing it for 10 years. You're doing it for your career. Build a business that has a foundation of trust and love and helpfulness to others in your community. When your business has that strong foundation because you chose to be the person that was going to follow up and build relationships, it's hard for it to fall, right? The one-off deals get a little shaky. But when you build your business with that large foundation, I just don't see how you can fail.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, guys, listen, as we started, I said there's two types of people that were here with us tonight. If you're a partner tonight, guys, let's get more deliberate and let's get more focused on the follow-up. And let's increase the numbers. Simple. If you're not a partner here tonight and you're ready to become a partner, you've been talking to a team member and you're like, you know what, these guys know what they're doing. And if they're going to give me the coaching like this and they're going to give me the money to close deals, I'm ready to rock and roll. Then we have a very special couple team members on standby today at 770-746-8585. That's 770-746-8585. And I did tell you this, right? Remember, we pride ourselves on providing all the money for our partners on deals. By the way, that's a huge, huge advantage we give our partners in the marketplace. We now have developed an incredible relationship with a third-party funding company that'll actually even give you the money to join Partner Driven, believe it or not. Yeah, it's that crazy. So it's like use other people's money all the way through the process with us. So if you'd like to go through their qualifying process to see if they're going to give you the money to join us, then I'm sure there's a link somewhere in chat being put up. Just follow the link, fill out a couple questions. I will tell you ahead of time, only do it if you have a minimum 620 credit score. If you have been on your job minimal for a year, if COVID happened to knock you out, but now you're back with the same company, then that's fine. So minimal 620 score, minimal 12-month employment history at the same company. If you happen not to be an employee, but an employer like a business owner, you're going to have to show last 2 years of tax returns. And whether you're a business owner or an employee, you must make a minimum of $40,000 gross, not net. You must gross a minimum of $40,000 per year. So if you make at least $40,000 a year, either self-employed or an employee, you could verify 12 months of employment or 2 years of tax returns if you're an employer, and a minimum of 620 credit score. Then these guys will hook you up and actually give you the money, the funds to join Partner Driven. But maybe some of you guys are beyond that. You're ready. You've already talked to somebody. You're ready to go. Then just call that number. Either way, guys, this is what we do. We share, we teach, we grow, and do a bunch of deals. So I love this. I enjoyed it. Even when I'm teaching, I feel like I'm learning, because a lot of times, you know what I mean? It's like I'm re-emphasizing the things I need to know.
Peter, I'm sitting literally over here thinking about some of the appointments I went on last month and realizing I didn't even do what I'm talking about tonight. Like, I'm getting back on that tomorrow.
This is why professionals practice every day. You know, it just has to become part of you. So I know both Julie and I enjoyed doing this very much. So on behalf of myself, Peter Vexelman, my partner, Julie Muse, and all the amazing people behind us that make all this possible, again, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I know I'll be back here next Tuesday, same time, same place. Julie, any parting quick words?
Well, the only parting words I have for you is I hope if you got anything out of tonight, remember this. I'm going to say it for the 20th time. Fortune is in the follow-up. Okay. And also for those of you that are sitting on the fence about getting into real estate investing, whether you choose Partner Driven or whether you choose another path, if it's truly your dream, figure out a way to make it happen. I'm glad that I did 10 years ago, and I hope the same for you. Either way, have a beautiful night. We love you and we appreciate you being here. Bye.
Bye, guys.